What's going on, everybody? C4 here. Welcome back to the channel, and today we are here on the afternoon my time of the 2020 NFL Draft, the virtual draft, a draft that we've never seen before. What am I actually doing tonight? Not sure. Might stream, might not be able to stream. Stay posted on my Twitter at PapaXC4. I'm probably gonna try to stream, but I do want to get my final mock draft in, locked and loaded. Now, this is a mock draft that was up in the air if we're gonna do trades or not. I'm on the draftnetwork.com. I know Pro Football Focus also has a mock machine that you can get trades, and I don't have an issue with trading back. It's more so the compensation for the teams that are trying to trade up. I never like how it plays out in these draft sims. It always kind of gets a little dumb. So what we're going to do here today is we're going to go through all the picks, and if I do think there's going to be a trade, I got 4 teams that I think almost certainly are going to try and trade back. I'm just going to kind of break down that trade, so if it happens, it kind of, ultimately this mock draft. So try to see if I'm going to be a smartass and predict the future. So that being said, we're just going to go through every pick will be locked and loaded, but I will go in depth if I think that the team's going to try to trade back and who I think that trade partner will be. So without further ado, we might as well just do this. Bing and bang. The first 2 picks are locked and loaded. Pick number 1, the Cincinnati Bengals get Joe Burrow. Any mock draft in the year 2020, we'll start with Joe Burrow. What else can I say? It's the best quarterback in this year's draft class. As long as you can get past the whole one-year wonder thing, I think the Bengals are going to be very happy with Joe Burrow. Pick 2. Now, there's been rumors that Atlanta are trying to trade up. That's a big jump. You're going to have to pay more than most likely what you paid to trade up for Julio Jones a couple years ago because they really want Chase Young. Oh, you know what, Atlanta? Literally every team in this draft would want Chase Young. Unless you're Cincinnati, because you get Joe Burrow. I just don't see it happening, especially with the Redskins. New front office. Is it new? Some new faces, but it's a new office, new coaching change. Going to a 4-3 Chase Young, home run pick. I hate it as an Eagle fan. He's going to be really, really tough. Luckily, the Eagles, hopefully Andre Dillard will be good and not as disappointing as he was for some of the games. Half his games he looked good. Half his games he's kind of disappointing. But if you remember my live reaction, the Eagles getting Andre Dillard last year was less than happy. Then now you're probably going to have Chase Young, whose dad came out and said, yeah, he might be 6'5", but I think when he's done growing, he'll be 6'8". So that's cool. Update the old Tinder profile, I guess, there, Chase Young. So moving on to pick 3, we have the Detroit Lions. This is where I think there could be a trade. And I'll break it down. There's one popular is the LA Chargers. We're looking right here, pick 5 and pick 6. I think you're the Chargers. You view this as, the smokescreen, the Tyrod. You want him to be your quarterback. He's not going to be your 2-year quarterback. And if you're the Chargers, even with Tyrod, you might not. You're most likely, your roster's so talented, especially on the defense side, you're probably not going to be a top 10 pick next year. It's going to cost you more to get your quarterback next year than it will this year. Now, obviously, if they have their sights set on a Justin Fields or a Trevor Lawrence, again, those are lofty expectations. Maybe they wipe their hands clean. They get something here, like a linebacker. They get Isaiah Simmons. But if you're here and you want to leapfrog pick 5, you don't want to have whatever's left after the Dolphins have their pick at quarterback. Even though I think they're targeting separate quarterbacks, I can see the Chargers jumping here to pick 3. The Lions move back to pick 6. The Lions still get who they want here at pick 3, almost 90%. Or you could have the Miami Dolphins, Chicago Bearsing it. Remember the Bears traded up to get Mitchell Trubisky? I think they were paranoid that someone else, for some god-awful reason, was going to leapfrog them, trade up with the Niners, and get Mitchell Trubisky. So the Bears, I feel like, bet against themselves, traded up for the Niners. Niners still got who they wanted in Solomon Thomas, and the Bears got Trubisky. So, the Dolphins could get paranoid. The Dolphins could get paranoid that the Chargers are going to leapfrog them, and they want to secure the quarterback that they have number 1 on the board, and move up to 3, and Lions are still happy. They're getting Okudah. Or the butt buddies of the Detroit Lions. And that is not offensive, okay? That's just their butt buddies. They love putting the Lions are a pair of Levi's, and the Patriots are a pair of Levi's. And the Lions' hand is in the butt pocket, jean pocket of the Patriots, and the Patriots' hand is in the back pocket of the Lions. These teams love each other. Since Belichick and Patricia have gone anyways. I know that's not probably the butt bodies, the South Park reference, but I like to see New England New England saying, New England's pissed off. They got Brady. They're pissed off. Gronk came back, didn't want to play for them. They had to ship him to Tampa Bay. I can see New England going, oh, everyone thinks it's doom and gloom New England. Out of nowhere, from the top of the Hell in a Cell, they trade up to pick 3. Now, it'd have to cost them multiple first-round picks. It'd probably cost them at least 100%, at least 2. This year's first, next year's first. And if you're Detroit, you're keeping in the back of your head, it's New England. The first-round pick's never most likely going to be a top 10 one. It could be something ridiculous. I just think more so I'm going to make this connection because the Lions and the Patriots have been like this since everything's happened. But it'd take a lot. So, anyways, this is just my first little trade. Could happen, should happen. But I think either way, the Detroit Lions are going to get Jeff Okudah to replace Darius Slay. Pick 4, we have the New York Giants on the clock where I have them selecting my number 1 tackle in the draft class, and that's Andrew Thomas. I think the reasoning why is, they had some pre-draft interest in Andrew Thomas. I was like, that makes sense. He's my number 1 tackle. Giants need a tackle. Andrew Thomas can play left or right tackle. He can play right tackle for now until they find a way to move off that horrific Nate Solder contract. And I think it just gives them a little bit more flexibility at that tackle spot versus someone like Jedrick Wills, who is, he's a right tackle, versus someone like Mekhi Becton, who smoked a little bit of weed. I think that will be a red flag for old school Dave Gettleman, even though the new CBA, I think it allows it. So I think Andrew Thomas will be the pick here for the New York Giants, and they get a really good tackle. They solidify a improving offensive line. I think with Thomas and at least Will Hernandez, Zeitler's solid at guard. Get the center spot sorted out, which he probably can do in second round. Find a way to move on, upgrade, and get cheaper than Nate Solder. They're going to have a great offensive line. Let's be honest, in the NFC East, whatever what you want to say, you got to have a good O-line. Going to the 5th pick, I think they are going to get Tua. I think the Dolphins' tank for Tua was a thing. I think it still remains true. The reports are the Dolphins have a clean bill of health on Tua Tagovailoa with his medical. Tank for Tua. You get your franchise quarterback. It's a great scenario. You got Fitzmagic there, so you don't have to rush him. And, there you go. There's the most talented quarterback to wear a Dolphins uniform since Cleo Lemon. Pick 6, the Chargers, they get Herbert. This is like another one of those things where I think these guys will be happy. The Chargers get their quarterback now at pick 6. Herbert, it's a great landing spot for him to go. Justin Herbert is going to be a guy that is going to need a supporting cast. I don't think Herbert's ever going to be the guy that's going to elevate a franchise by himself. But I do think when you look at the supporting cast, they've improved the offensive line by bringing in Brian Bulaga, Trey Turner. They have the running back in Eckler. You have, Keenan Allen, Hunter Henry, Mike Williams. The defense is elite. I think it's the best landing spot for Herbert. And you have Tyrod Taylor, who has experience, welcoming in a quarterback, holding his spot until he's ready, like we saw with him in Cleveland with Baker Mayfield. So Herbert to the Chargers. Nothing too crazy. Pick 7. I've been putting Isaiah Simmons here. I'm going to go a little bit different. I'm going to put Derek Brown. Here's why. Here's my reasoning. I think Simmons or Brown both help fix the Panthers defense in one way or another. Isaiah Simmons would lessen the loss of Luke Kuechly, you would hope. However, when you look at everything surrounding the Panthers right now, the run defense was horrific. And at this spot, the one player that would help the run defense is Derek Brown. Another thing, it's a brand new organization in terms of new era. New head coach from Baylor. They got pretty much Baylor DC, and you got Matt Rule. The number one thing you don't want to do as a brand new head coach is whiff on your first pick. This is the pick that is gonna be the pillar of your tenure there. And you get Isaiah Simmons, even though they have the college DC coming with them, if you don't know how you're gonna utilize him, Isaiah Simmons is he's a boom or bust player. He's either gonna boom because you know how to utilize him and he's gonna be a freak of nature, or he's gonna be a miscast and he's gonna be a bad pick. And if Carolina does not have confidence that they're going to know how to use Isaiah Simmons, go with Derek Brown. Top 5 safe pick in this draft. Improves your biggest weakness at that run defense spot. He's a franchise player. You can build around him. He's scheme flexible. He can play 3-4 end. He can play 3-4 nose tackle. It's just the safe pick for a new franchise that's turning a corner here. The Cam Newton era, Ron Rivera era is done. Now you're coming back in. You want a for sure thing. You want that safe pick. That's still a tremendous player, and that's exactly what Derek Brown is. Pick 8. We have the Arizona Cardinals, where I was selecting Tristan Wirfs. It's been a popular pick for me anytime I talk about the Cardinals when I'm mocking. Here's why. Atop Eddie things, there's reasons why that makes sense. Wirfs is either going to be a high-end tackle, high-end guard, worst-case scenario. Either way, when you look at the bad offensive line in Arizona, he's going to be an upgrade either or. But I kind of can use a little bit of the Eagles here, is that when Philadelphia started, we had the fast college offense of Chip Kelly. One of his first premier picks, Lane Johnson. Uber athletic tackle to match that high-paced offense. Look at the Arizona Cardinals. High-paced offense. Cliff Kingsbury. What don't they have? Uber athletic offensive tackle to help solidify things. What do they have available at pick 8? Uber athletic offensive tackles. I think the similarities ring true in terms of needs and in terms of what prospect is available. So much like Philadelphia getting Lane Johnson, I think the similarities are eerily similar here. Obviously, I think we got Lane at pick 3 or 4, but here for Arizona at pick 8 to bring in an elite A-tier athlete in Tristan Wirfs. Pick number 9, the Jacksonville Jaguars. I had them selecting maybe something a little different here. C.J. Henderson, corner from Florida State. Now, I have not been giving roaring reviews of C.J. Henderson. I don't think he played particularly... I'm not going to say he played bad. I'm going to say I don't think he played with a lot of effort. He checked out this year. This year was, I don't want to get hurt because I know I'm going in the first round in the draft next season. And how am I going to sit here? Now that the season is done and we're not watching it game by game, week by week, I'm one of those guys, bygones be bygones. I understand your decision. I'm not going to hate you for it. And if you look at 2018 C.J. Henderson, that's a top 15 pick at corner. When you look at the secondary right now for the Jacksonville Jaguars, no A.J. Boye, no Jalen Ramsey. They're in a transitionary period. Top and outside corners in this year, they're not growing on trees. You got Okudah, you got Henderson. That's probably it for proven guys on the outside day one. So I think C.J. Henderson, especially with how he tested the combine, I think if I'm Jacksonville, this is the first move. Keep a guy in Florida, keep a local kid there, and get C.J. Henderson to replace immediately. I think maybe even be an upgrade over A.J. Boye. Going to pick number 10, we have the Cleveland Browns. Another popular pick for them is Jedrick Wills. It makes sense. You got Jack Conklin, even though he played right tackle for the Titans, played left tackle when he was coming out of college out of Michigan State. So you flip him back to left tackle. You get Jedrick Wills, who exclusively has played right tackle, protecting to his blind side. And you have a team in Cleveland who were the perennial underachievers last season. And the reason why, I think, solely is they had the 2 worst starting tackles, debatably, in the NFL last year. And you go from having that scenario with Robinson, the drug mule, and Chris Hubbard gave an ugly contract for him coming over from Pittsburgh, to having Conklin, who is a good starting tackle, and then you get Jedrick Wills in terms of a right tackle, the best right tackle in the draft. So there you go. Easy upgrade here for the Cleveland Browns. And again, one man will be happy, and that man is Nick Chubb, who was sensational last season, but he had a pretty bad O-line. Now you improve the tackles, you can be able to bounce outside a whole lot more with a lot more success. Pick 10, the New York Jets. Where are them selecting? C.D. Lamb. Now here for C.D. Lamb, I think it'd be the Jets. The tackles are kind of falling out here. You could get a tackle, franchise tackle, to protect Sam Darnold, but who was your wide receiver 1? You lost Robbie Anderson. You got a bunch of guys, slot guys. Got like 2 slot guys. Who's your outside guy? Who's the guy that's got to make plays? Don't have that. So get the quintessential outside. This guy's always going to be top 15 pick in a draft in C.D. Lamb. Might not have the speed of Henry Ruggs. Might not have the pure crisp route running and footwork of Jerry Jeudy. But in terms of a receiver, you want the closest thing to the best wide receiver in the NFL, and that's DeAndre Hopkins. C.D. Lamb is it in this year's draft class. And C.D. Lamb complements what they got. You know, you could have Crowder in the slot, solid slot wide receiver. You got Le'Veon Bell in the backfield. Weapons. But who's going to be the weapon on the outside? I think safest outside, purely outside wide receiver in this draft is Mr. C.D. Lamb. I think it's a great fit for the New York Jets. Darnold's going to be happy. Pick number 12, we have the Raiders. And paying a little homage here, pick 12 to Al Davis. I have them not selecting maybe the consensus for most of the mock draft and draft evaluation process, Alabama wide receiver in Jerry Jeudy. But I have them going Henry Ruggs, getting pure speed. I think Gruden's going to be like, yeah, he's a Gruden grinder, man. He's super fast, and we can go to Motley Crue concerts or something like that. His name's Ruggs. That's a grinder last name. Like, that's what he'd be looking at. Not Jeudy. Jerry Jeudy, 2 first names. What is he, a female? Like, that's kind of like John Gruden's macho mentality for someone like Ruggs, right? So I think, and Ruggs is exactly what they need. Derek Carr has been checking down for far too much. Getting a guy like Henry Ruggs, the pressure is for him to force that ball downfield to, the guy that's going to have walk in the league and be a top 5 in terms of speed, pure speed in the NFL. And I think Ruggs, amazing player. I say this as an Eagle fan that's going to be right now, if this is how it's playing out in real life, I'm going to be heartbroken. I'm going to be absolutely heartbroken because all these good wide receivers that I really want are going to be flying off the board. But I think for the Raiders, I think Henry Ruggs, that's going to be your guy. Pay a little homage to Al Davis and get a guy that's 10 times better than like Darius Hayward-Bay. Pick 13. I have the 49ers. I think this is going to be a trade-out spot for sure. I also didn't mention, I think at pick 9, I think there's going to be Atlanta. That's going to be. We already talked about Atlanta trying to trade up to pick 2. There's rumors. I actually think Atlanta really do want C.J. Henderson as well, so they could be potentially trying to trade up. But I think the next big trade will be here at pick 13. I think this is time for my Philadelphia Eagles. If they're going to make a move and trade up for a wide receiver, Jerry Jeudy is still on the board. You have a team in San Francisco that does not have a lot of day 2 picks. I think they have like first, a second, 2 first, and then they're really light. They're really light in like the second, third, fourth round. So if you're the Philadelphia, to go from 21 to 13, it'll probably cost you 21, a third, and there's reports that San Francisco is interested in Rasul Douglas. I'd make that move. I'd give you 21, or third, and Rasul Douglas to move up 8 spots. That's about the cost of Rasul Douglas. Probably has like a 5th, 6th round value. Especially, man, if you can consider him. If you can move him to safety, he has ball hawking ability. Rasul Douglas is a ball hawk, just not fast. So, anyways, I think this is where Philly would move up to get Jerry Jeudy. That's why if I do a stream, I'll be shitting bricks if Philadelphia trades up to get one of the big 3 wide receivers. But in this scenario, I don't even care. I think if Niners do stay here, Jerry Jeudy's a pick. You know, the Niners showed the desperation at wide receiver last year by doing that trade to bring in Emmanuel Sanders, and it worked out pretty well. Now he's gone. They have not replaced that. It seems like they're kind of on the outs with Dante Pettis. Give me 1 second here. I'm not sponsored yet by G Fuel. I'm actually weighing my options right now for who I want to be my charter sponsor on my channel. But they seem to be on the outs with Dante Pettis. So you look at the wide receiver core, Emmanuel Sanders old. They got Deebo Samuel. Terrific inside-outside guy. You want him in the slot, you can move him all around the field. But you can do the exact same thing with Jerry Jeudy. I think Jerry Jeudy paired long-term with Deebo Samuel. Teams are never going to know what the hell you're doing. You put Jerry Jeudy in the slot, you put Deebo in the slot, you put them both on the outside. It's a good fit for a Shanahan offense. If you're creative and you can win and do a lot of things right away, and your versatility is key, that's what Jerry Jeudy brings, because outside, inside, did both at Alabama at a high level. His route running, because of his route running, and he has good speed. I think San Francisco Niner fans, if they can't trade back and acquire more picks, they're going to be very happy with the Jerry Jeudy selection at pick 13. Pick 14 with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, where I was selecting this year's Larry Tunsil, apparently. Mekhi Becton. I think Becton, high ceiling tackle. Emphasis on the high. But you look at the Bucs depth chart, you got in Gronk. Gronk is probably the best tackle on the roster as well. But Donovan Smith, you have him at left tackle. Either way, I think Becton's better than Donovan Smith. And you don't have a right tackle. They let DeMar Dotson walk. So I think protecting Tom Brady is paramount. And at this point, getting Becton at 14, you know, you're not gonna do a lot better than that. So there you go. Pick 15. The slip is on, but it's gonna take someone like Vic Fangio to go, oh, I can get kind of like a Roquan. Sure. Isaiah Simmons going to the Denver Broncos. Vic Fangio would be like, yeah, all right, that's phenomenal. You tell me I can have Isaiah Simmons roaming between, you have Chubb and Von Miller roaring off the ends, and then get this goddamn mic out of my way. Let's fix that. You got those guys, and you have Isaiah Simmons just patrolling the middle of the defense, and then you got Justin Simmons, one of the best cover safeties in the NFL. I think the Simmons brothers, even though they're not really related, but they ran with that with the Za'Darius and Preston last year with the Packers. I think Isaiah Simmons, if you're looking for like perfect fits for Isaiah Simmons, I mean, you could say Chargers, you could say, you know, maybe the Panthers. We don't know for sure, but I definitely know for goddamn fact Vic Fangio will find a way to maximize Isaiah Simmons. So a little bit of a slip there to 15. Teams a little scared about the no true position thing, which we have seen. Remember, to an extent, Miles Jack, he had an injury coming with him, but again, he was a player that was a little bit tricky to project where he was going to play. You know, like Miles Jack, running back. He played a little bit of everything, it felt like. And I remember Shaq Thompson when he was coming out of Washington. Obviously, maybe not as high-profile players as Isaiah Simmons, but either way, Vic Fangio gets his guy, and Isaiah Simmons, a good fit. Pick 16, we have the Atlanta Falcons, where I have them selecting K'Lavon Chaisson, edge rusher from LSU. stand-up edge rusher playing the role of Vic Beasley, except he's a better Vic Beasley, and he's more versatile than Vic Beasley. Not very one-dimensional. I think it's a like for like. They need to fix a couple spots on that defense. I do believe the reports, because of the Florida Gator tie, that Dan Quinn desperately wants them to trade up to get CJ Henderson. But if they can't and they have to stay put, Chaisson coming in being an upgrade over that role Vic Beasley had on that defense, it makes a lot of sense there. Pick 17, we have the Dallas Cowboys. Where I have them, I think this is going to be another spot that it could be if the Patriots haven't traded up yet. I think 17, Dallas is looking at the board. They need secondary. There's at pick 17, you're not getting a great value. You're going to be slightly reaching for a player. So I think Dallas will be trying to ship out of pick 17, move back a little bit. I think a team like New England, this is where they would be coming up to secure the quarterback, the lone quarterback that's still on the board here. Because again, you could see at this point, when we're talking about teams that want quarterback, New Orleans would probably be all over Jordan Love. You could probably say, I don't want to say Tennessee, but Tennessee, Green Bay, Aaron Rodgers ain't gotta last forever. I think this would be another spot that New England could trade up. But either way, if Dallas staying here, I have them selecting Jeff Gladney, corner from TCU. I'm hiring him the most. I think outside of the age concerns, because he's going to be 24, I think, when he's drafted, 23, 24. Very aggressive corner. Kind of fits the build of corner that they have there in Dallas. They're not looking for the long, lanky guys. They got Jordan Lewis, a little bit more stouter. They got Chidobe Awuzie, a little more stouter. I don't even think he's 6 feet tall. You got the other dude there, the slot corner. Brown. Again, not really long. So Gladney fits that mold of what Dallas thinks can work at that cornerback spot. I am higher on Gladney the most. Very, very good competitor. I think he's going to be a high floor type corner. He's not going to be a bust. And I do think he brings some outside potential, even though he's a little bit smaller. Could be like a Chris Harris type, a guy that's an outside corner that's clearly not 6 feet tall, but his aggressiveness, his instincts, his footwork make up for it. Go to pick 18. The Dolphins are back on the clock. And this was a tough pick for me. I didn't really like the draft board here. So I just kind of went like, all right, why not? Let's have them get kind of what I did, made my YouTubers mock. I think when you're here at 18, there's so many running backs that are still there that are good. But why not get the best one? Why not get the most versatile one? Jordan Howard, as much as he's solid, there's a reason why Jordan Howard's bounced around. He's not a 3-down back. So why not get a 3-down back? Then you can throw in Jordan Howard for the power option, short yardage option. And DeAndre Swift can do it all. He can do it all. He's a great athlete. He's a slasher. Makes guys look foolish. Has great vision. Can catch. He's powerful. Good speed. He's really the complete running back. And when you look at this is what I was kind of thinking. I was like, where are these running backs going in the first round? Because look, Josh Jacobs was so impactful for that Raiders team last year. The Raiders were dead in the water. The memes about Antonio Brown, they're going to be awful. And then out of nowhere, you had Josh Jacobs, who was for most of the season was a leader for Offensive Rookie of the Year. He was getting touchdowns. He was exposed. So there is that value. And I think when you look at the running back room right now for the Dolphins, I don't think the confidence is there that Jordan Howard, he's a good running back to have there. They don't have their guy at running back. So you're sitting here. You could get a safety, but I don't think I like Delpit. But I do think a lot of teams are scared about the tackling thing. McKinney's not an A-tier athlete. Where do you really go? Do you gamble and reach for a little bit for a tackle? There's probably going to still be a tackle there at 26 to improve your offensive line. Now, they could go tackle at 18 and then get a center, maybe Cesar Ruiz at pick 26. I wouldn't hate that, but I definitely see the appeal in getting a complete running back that could very well complete your offense and take a lot of pressure off Tua Tagovailoa when it's his time to hand him the reins, and give him a tremendous weapon on screen passes, and just having him run, just get him out in the flat. Pick 19. The Raiders are back on the clock, and I have the Raiders selecting a corner they have shown a lot of interest in, and that's Trevon Diggs, polarizing corner. A lot of people have him in the first round. A lot of people have him slipping out of the first round. I think the Raiders need a corner. I'm looking at all the corners here. I would say Diggs is in the mix between Fulton, who a lot of people are, again, the tackling, could fall like Greedy Williams. I like Jalen Johnson a lot. Terrell is more of an athlete. I think in terms of ceiling, you might get the highest ceiling in Diggs. The brother of Stephon Diggs. So I think Raiders are definitely going to want to go corner here. They have shown some pre-draft interest in Trevon Diggs. But, either Diggs, Terrell, Johnson, even Fulton at 19, most Raider fans going to be pretty happy. Pick 20, the Jacksonville Jaguars are on the clock, and they're like, oh yes, they're running this pickup. They're getting Kinlaw, interior lineman from South Carolina, defensive tackle. I think you get, I've had Derek Brown go to them in some of my mock drafts. They need to, no Calais Campbell, no Marcel Darius. You got Taven Bryan, who's kind of working out the kinks a little bit. You got to find someone that can offer something to help out Josh Allen. And with Kinlaw, you get a very high ceiling. I think Kinlaw has a higher ceiling than Derek Brown. Got to need the development there. But I think the Jags, if the Jacksonville Jaguars you pretty much lose Calais Campbell and you lose the Ramsey Boye. So you're really hurting on the line and you're really hurting the secondary. You get CJ Henderson at outside starting corner, and then you get Kinlaw, who already is a solid starting D tackle as a rookie with a ceiling to become one of the best D tackles in the league. You lost a lot on defense. It's a transitionary period on the defensive side, but you're able to recruit a lot of talent. And offensively, you're probably still going to suck bad enough to get a good quarterback next year. So, the wins and losses. Now we're up here with the Philadelphia Eagles. Again, if this is how the board's looking, a lot of questions. I would really hope they do trade up with the 49ers. But sitting here, I'm going to do it again, man. Denzel Mims. It just comes down to the fact that Justin Jefferson is probably going to be a better slot wide receiver than he is going to be a better outside wide receiver in the NFL. And that's not saying that he can't play outside. I think he definitely, you don't have low 4.4 speed and not be able to make plays on the outside. However, he did all his damage at LSU in the slot. And Philadelphia, for the time being, for the foreseeable future, unless they trade Zach Ertz, they're going to have a tight end occupying that slot spot more often than not. That's how this team and roster has been built. Why would you burn a pick on a guy who most likely is going to succeed in the slot? You have to get the outside wide receiver. That's why it's almost imperative for Philly to trade up and get a guy like Jerry Jeudy, who's like a better version of Justin Jefferson. Justin Jefferson is a guy that can play inside and outside, but most likely he's going to be better inside than he is outside. Jerry Jeudy for Alabama has played inside and outside, but he's most likely to be better on the outside in the NFL. So that's why I went Denzel Mims. More risk factor getting a guy Denzel Mims. He's a guy that I think it's definitely a little bit of a reach here at pick 21. If I could somehow foresee what wide receivers are still available in the second round. Like if you tell me right now in the second round for Philly, Brandon Ayuk or Jalen Reagor still there, that completely would change how I go here, because the value of Denzel Mims at 21 is not particularly great. I might be more inclined to get a McKinney or a Delpit, or we look at an AJ Terrell, or we can look at a Jalen Johnson, or hey, we finally Philly just bucks the mold and goes linebacker. Patrick Queen and Kenneth Murray are still there. We definitely need linebacker help. But I can't, it's a one-round mock. I can't foresee the future. I'm a Mims homer. And if you're looking at this point at 21, out of all the wide receivers that are available, who is most likely going to have a chance to be a game-changing outside wide receiver at this spot? Denzel Mims, out of all these guys, I think has the highest chance. Pick 22. The Minnesota Vikings are on the clock, and they're just like, oh, okay, we're happy with this. We're going to get Justin Jefferson to come in and straight up, day one, take over Stephon Diggs' spot. Easy does it. We have another pick here in just a second to address the defense. Pick 23, the Patriots. They're going to have to 100%, I think, trade up. I think it'd be incredibly unlikely that he falls to him, but I think Jordan loves the option. Get the next franchise quarterback. All the traits there, and a perfect scenario for him to get coached up. Jordan Love is a perfect fit for New England. Pick 24, we have the New Orleans Saints. And I have them selecting local boy Patrick Queen. Now, it's a big question who's the best linebacker in the draft between Patrick Queen and Kenneth Murray. But I think in today's modern NFL, you're going to go with the tiebreaker would be who's better in coverage. And Patrick Queen is going to be better in coverage, has a higher ceiling to develop and be better in coverage. And, good linebacker that can contribute right away for the New Orleans Saints. Team that's in a Super Bowl win-now mode. Pick 25, we have the Minnesota Vikings back on the clock, and I have them grabbing a corner here at AJ Terrell. Now we're getting to the spot where guys, they're fringe first rounders, but now for the corners, you're definitely going to be looking at guys that have that outside ability. That's what they need right now. They lost their outside corners in Xavier Rhodes and they also technically lost their slot guy, but they lost their outside guys in Xavier Rhodes and Trey Waynes, and they also lost their slot in Mackenzie Alexander. You're sitting here, I think Terrell, just the athletic profile will give him a slight edge over, say, a guy like Jalen Johnson. I personally like Jalen Johnson more, but for a man style, you want Terrell. Jalen Johnson's more of a zone. They could definitely get Christian Fulton. That could be an interesting pick there. Fulton, I think the tackling ability could scare teams off a little bit. But I think Fulton or Terrell at pick 25 for the Vikings. I think that's a great fit for them. Pick 26, the Dolphins are back on the clock, and that's where I have them grabbing a lineman. They're going to get Josh Jones, the tackle from Houston. Now we're starting to get into that some of these guys could be first rounders. Josh Jones, Ezra Cleveland, Isaiah Wilson, Austin Jackson have all, if you look across the mock drafts, got some first round hype. I just think Josh Jones, a little bit more of that right tackle mold, very high ceiling, can get coached up a little bit. But I do think there's no way that with 3 picks, the Dolphins don't land at least one lineman. You can't do a lot. But hey, if you want a safer pick, though, you're getting the ceiling with Josh Jones. But if you want the safe pick, you get Cesar Ruiz on the interior. Day 1 starter at center. He's ready to go. Plug and play. But, when you need centers and you need tackles, you're going to prioritize your tackles more than your interior. Pick 27. We have the Seattle Seahawks on the clock. And I am selecting Yetur Gross-Matos, edge rusher from Penn State. The free fall of AJ Epineza continues. I just think, again, you go with the more athletic upside. You can't go wrong. I think when I'm looking at 41 for Epineza, that's a little low. I definitely think he did tank at the combine bad enough that, if we've seen guys like Harold Landry and stuff in years past slip at the edge rush position, I think Epineza could also kind of follow that. So with Matos, you get a higher ceiling, better athletic profile for a team that desperately needs to get more consistent pressure after the quarterback. Pick 28, the Ravens. This is another very easy pick. They get Kenneth Murray. They've done a lot of pre-draft interest in him. They desperately need linebackers, and Murray is, as good as it gets at pick 28. Pick 29, we have the Tennessee Titans, and here I actually have them selecting Christian Fulton. They've shown some pre-draft interest. This is a secondary that's going through a little bit of transition. Logan Ryan still there. Maybe they technically could bring him back, but in terms of outside corner, they're getting old. You got Adoree Jackson. Nice, young player, explosive. But then you got Malcolm Butler getting up there in a little bit of a inflated contract. Contract might not live up to the production, and he's getting old. So I think at this point, you're Tennessee, you're sitting there going, we kind of need a tackle. Maybe they could look at Ezra Cleveland or whatever. But Christian Fulton, they've done their homework, and he's an outside corner that can help that secondary get a little bit younger. And, you could probably move Malcolm Butler inside. And you have Fulton and Adoree Jackson on the outside. Adoree Jackson can play inside, and you can have Fulton, and you can have Malcolm Butler on the outside. So here we go. Let me a little bit of a surprise pick, but when I saw that they had some decent pre-draft interest, Fulton makes some sense going here to the Tennessee Titans. Pick 30, the Green Bay Packers. And I am selecting Jalen Reagor. They need an outside wide receiver. That's more than just pure speed like they got in Scantling. And they need a guy that's not just tall for the sake of being tall. And I think a guy like Reagor with his jump ball ability, he brings something on special teams. He brings some juice, some yards after the catch, and obviously explosiveness. You got to get another weapon there for Aaron Rodgers. Reliable set of hands. I think that is exactly what Reagor will bring. A reliable set of hands. Maybe that's a little bit stretched. He did have 9 drops last year. I do need to note that, because I'm kind of talking about this as Reagor as a guy that I wouldn't be ecstatic for the Philadelphia Eagles to get 21. He did have 9 drops last year. But he didn't have those. I think the quarterback play, TCU had bad quarterback play. He did have drops, but I think throws were poor. So I just think in terms of what Green Bay really needs, because you have, I guess, your reliable hands of Vontae. They need a guy that can just win on the outside consistently and not just drop the ball a lot. I don't know. Maybe that's contradictory. I think Jalen Reagor, though, is an explosive athlete. Either him or Ayuk could be in play. I just saw that they had a little bit more pre-draft interest in Jalen Reagor, did a little bit more homework that's available to us. So that gave me the slight edge here to Jalen Reagor. Pick 31. We have the 49ers on the clock, and I have them solidifying their secondary by bringing in Xavier McKinney, bringing another safety. Back end needs to get fixed. A lot of options here. You got Grant Delpit. You can look at Jalen Johnson, Igbagnahi. But I think at this point, a guy like Xavier McKinney, he's going to be a guy that I think John, what do you call it? The safety there. Why can't I think of his name? You know that guy. Friggin' paid for the Bucks. He has that weird ass chin. Literally, I'm going to type in ass chin 49ers. And it's going to give me, it's not George Kittle. Oh, Jesus Christ, we're getting licking your ass. Niners GM. John Lynch. There we go. This is a shit show. But yeah, Xavier McKinney. Safety. Can play literally anywhere. But I think, you know, long term, you look at Jaquiski Tartt. McKinney pairs in well nicely there. Helps ease things out there on the back end just a little bit. And, you know, it's a solid pick for the Niners. And then we go to the draft to pick 32 with the Kansas City Chiefs. And I have them selecting Jalen Johnson. We're going to finalize this draft. But Jalen Johnson, zone cover corner, one of the best zone corners in this draft. Solid fit for a Steve Spagnuolo defensive team secondary. That was good enough to win a Super Bowl last year. They had strong safety play with Honey Badger and Juan Thornhill. But I think a guy like Jalen Johnson can play on the outside. He's an outside corner, likes to tackle. And I would say already an upgrade over who they have right now, like Brashad Breeland. So there you go, guys. There's the mock draft in its truest form. We did it in one friggin' shot. And I hope you guys liked it. And I think, you know, it's going to be interesting to see how this draft plays out. As an Eagle fan, I have no idea what is going to go on. But I hope I did an okay job explaining why I think your team might trade up or why I think your team might make that selection right there. I hope you guys did enjoy it. Hope you're ready for the draft to happen tonight. Again, stay posted to my Twitter at PopXC4 when I will drop what is going on. I'm going to be streaming on Twitch, something like that, which most likely I will be because I'll get bored. But that does it for me, guys. Thank you for watching. Till next time, C4, saying peace out. Shout out to G Fuel, except until they start paying me money.